These remains are reflecting light in a way that defies the laws of nature. Welcome to the Edible Files, where we ruin all the nice things you want to eat. This wasn't just any body. This was Diane de Poitiers, the woman who hijacked the French monarchy using the most scandalous age gap in history. When they met, Henry was a broken 15-year-old boy. Fresh out of a Spanish prison where he'd been held as a political hostage, he was traumatized, socially awkward, and invisible. Diane was a 35-year-old widow, 20 years his senior, who saw a blank canvas. She didn't just seduce him, she imprinted on him. She became his mentor, his protector, and his first lover. By the time he became king, he was just in love with her. He was psychologically fused to her. She was the only person who kept him safe, and that obsession gave her a lifelong power that even the queen couldn't touch. Diane didn't just control the king's heart, she controlled his bedroom. It was said that prior to Diane, Henry's father witnessed the consummation between Catherine de Medici and Henry when they married at 14 years old, but she never conceived. Catherine endured a decade of humiliation as mistress, as she failed to introduce an heir. In a move that sounds like a South Park plot point, Diane, the mistress, literally forced the king into the queen's bed. She would lecture him on his duties and wait in the hallway to ensure the job was done. When Catherine finally started having children, Diane took over the nursery. She chose the staff and the education, forcing the Queen of France to ask a mistress for permission just to see her own babies. Catherine lived in the shadows for 30 years, fueled by a rage that only time could satisfy. But Diane had a problem. She was 20 years older than the king, and the clock was ticking. To stay relevant, she stopped eating like a human and started consuming a secret ritual she called the elixir of the sun. Every single morning, she drank a custom-blended tonic that her doctors promised was incorruptible. They told her if she consumed it, her beauty would be permanent. She wasn't just wearing a mask. She was building one from the inside out. But the glow everyone admired came with a disturbing price. As the years passed, her appearance shifted into something uncanny. Her skin didn't just look young. It looked translucent. She wasn't just pale, she was beginning to look like a body biologically starving for oxygen. She was a walking ghost, a living statue whose ethereal beauty was actually a sign that her internal systems were being systematically shut down. By age 65, her skeleton was as brittle as a glass ornament. When she eventually fell from her horse, her leg didn't just break, it shattered into pieces. Her body had literally forgotten how to heal itself. Then the ultimate flip. King Henry was killed when a wooden splinter from a jousting lance pierced his eye and entered his brain. Catherine de Medici didn't even wait for him to stop breathing. She banned Diane from the deathbed and sent a messenger with one command: return the crown jewels and get out. Diane was exiled to the countryside, where she died in agonizing pain. Her body was eventually tossed into a dirt pit by revolutionaries, staying lost for 2 centuries until 2008. That's when forensics finally cracked the case. The hair and bones of Diane de Poitiers contained 500 times the lethal limit of gold. To achieve that famous white skin, her chemist had dissolved the metal in a lethal cocktail of mercury and arsenic. She didn't find the fountain of youth. She turned herself into a chemistry experiment. The elixir of the sun was literally liquid gold. She poisoned herself so thoroughly that even the bacteria responsible for decay couldn't survive her. She wasn't a goddess. She was the most beautiful biohazard in history. True story. This is the Edible Files, where food becomes evidence.